All right, guys, welcome back to Conversation Convo Combos. And today we're doing a nice special, but let's do a nice shout out to my mini fridge. Yes.
We're
A
gonna have
nice,
to excuse the choppy camera.
but yes, the brand new mini fridge. Definitely a nice addition to the podcast, and she works wonderfully, if I may say. Keeps the beers nice and cold.
Nice and cold.
But yes, my question today is zombie apocalypse. But this is not just any zombie apocalypse. This is whatever zombie apocalypse we can be talking about. Now, this is very interesting topic because when you're talking about zombie apocalypse, there's a different range. So you be talking about which movie you haven't seen before, 28 Days Later, Led for Dead zombies, and Resident Evil zombies and Walker zombies were kind of a little bit similar, but I feel like Resident Evil zombies they were a little bit more. I don't know, a
More
little bit more
mutations.
intelligent. Yeah, different mutations and stuff like that. So, yeah, zombie apocalypse.
Um, I think again, like you said, it pertains to what exactly zombie apocalypse are we dealing with? It could be, starts off kind of like, animals getting sick, people getting sick, and, slight mutations. Then it gets worse. Stronger mutations, more mutations, and then it just gets to a point where it's overwhelming and there's like so many mutations. Or is it a basic like people are getting sick and then they're just dying and then
Also, the airborne factor too,
yeah.
because like if you're already within that proximity of that infection, even though that you're still human, it kind of slowly seep into you. Like remember Resident Evil Outbreak? There was
Yeah.
a timer. So basically, if the timer ran down, you would be pretty much infected.
Yeah, exactly. Um I think that's the biggest question when it comes to asking any questions for like what would you do in a zombie apocalypse? Where would you go in a zombie
I'm sorry.
apocalypse? What would you
Go back
get?
to what I was saying. Not infected, but become a zombie. Sorry.
Yeah.
I scratched it.
Um But yeah, a lot of times, someone asks a question, you got to really like give specific details on, you know, what the zombie of like what is the state of the world, what is the state of the location that we're in, and what kind of zombies are like aware of.
So if we were going off of which everybody should know, Led for Dead. If you haven't tried Led for Dead, it's a very fun game for co-op. You guys get to pick between Bill, Francis, Zoe, and who was the last one? Bill,
Uh,
Francis, Zoe, and
Bill Francis, Zoe, and Lewis.
Lewis. Yeah, Lewis.
Unless you're talking about the second game, then you're
Yeah,
talking
this
Coach, Rochelle, Nick, and oh my gosh, how am I forgetting Ellis?
Ellis. There we go. So if we were going off of that zombie apocalypse, um, me myself partaking in that, like obviously, like definitely, I like the dual wield. I like to have double pistols just in case.
Yeah,
Definitely having a melee, I feel like is a little bit better than having a secondary, only because of the fact that if they get close up quarters. But then again, that secondary, if you do have that side arm, definitely beneficial. Your primary, I mean, Ray said it the best, having what was he call it? Always Steiger or
Stagger.
yeah, Stagger, yeah, Staggers
That's what he always
always the
called
way to
it.
go.
Yeah,
Stagger or Stagger and or
but
AK-47 or even like a nice shotgun.
yeah, um, yeah. That was my biggest thing. Was of course, for people who are already shouting at us like that's not the name of it. We know that's not the name of it. It's called a scar. That's what it's called.
Yeah, the
But
original name.
we
Yeah.
always called it stagger because it was funny because you'd go in and first thing you see was like, oh, I got this, I got a stagger here, and you're like, a scar. But every time I heard that, I always thought of like the Lion King, like, I got Scar here, and I'm like, Mufasa. Ray would be like, no, shut the fuck up. But yeah, no, I think if we're looking at it at a standpoint, video game wise, same thing. I'm more of a melee weapon rather than a dual wield, just because a lot of times in that game you get surrounded, especially when a boomer pukes on you, or you got
Oh yeah, the variants.
people go down. Like if like someone goes down and I got to go over and pick them up, I usually quickly do a bunch of melee attacks to try and pick them up. But if I can, I tell someone, hey, come pick this person up. I'll cover you both, and I'll just melee any zombies that come near you.
All right.
But and then same thing. I'd use a Scar for one, the speed of it, and the quick, easy mag reload, or clip reload. But I'd have to say if that was a legitimate real life basis. I mean, I can't lie. I don't got a hope for surviving that. I don't think many people do because of the fast pace, like speed of the zombies.
It's funny because I saw a TikTok video where it was just like you woke up in the zombie apocalypse and then you hear the witches crying. Yeah, that's because like the dude literally like he heard the witches crying. It was like saying like in caption, it was like you woke up in the wrong zombie apocalypse, and then all you heard was.
I probably
the person slowly backed down. He was like,
yeah.
Like no.
I'd probably be crying just like the witch. I'd be like, yeah, me too. I don't belong.
Yeah, because like, dude, like when you're dealing with the witch, like that's just like fast, like fury strikes.
The witch, the charger, because I mean, it's just all the zombies are relatively fast paced, except for,
well, the smoker, if you're able to identify it quickly enough, then you could like shoot it straight up. But
and the spitter, I mean, usually
the jumper was a little bit
the
of
hunter.
The
hunter and the jockey. Jockey is what you're thinking of.
No. Oh yes. The jockey, yeah.
But yeah, the jockey you can't really tell because it moves quick and it moves in like a zigzag.
And it just hops on you. It's just like
the hunter is very like stockish.
Yeah, just like slowly stalks you. Then the smoker with the tongue.
But like you said, if you can kind of like you hear it coughing, usually when you hear it, you could kind of like
yeah.
Immediately as soon as you hear that, you hit the floor and like start looking around. Versus a hunter or a jockey, you're already like getting jumped on by that point.
What would be your main? For me, my main base would be either This is the hard thing because a lot of people would normally go for either one of the two is pharmaceutical or gun blaze.
I wouldn't go for either. For one, I own guns for myself and I have some prescriptions, but I would not go.
You wouldn't try to get more ammo? Even if you ran out of ammo?
I would rather wait and find someone that went and got ammo and pick it off of them than to go to a gun store or I mean, like I said, it all depends. Like if it's, I mean...
So you're going
that's
off
a
of
touchy
more
subject.
Food-wise.
If it's... I wouldn't even do that because... Anywhere that you go that's high population, like a grocery store, a gun store is going to be popping. As soon as they hear, the dead are coming back to life, what are people going to do? Guns, prescriptions, groceries. That's immediately where they're going to go. And then you got your big cities. It's going to be spreading there. I mean, COVID is a prime example for a pandemic that happens and an infection that spreads. It's going to spread in the big cities rapidly. Anybody and everybody you come in contact with is going to potentially have it. You can't trust anybody just about. And that's the biggest thing is you got to be able to trust people. You got to build a you got to build trust, you got to build confidence, and you got to build that, reputation with each other.
So where are you going first? Because like in all honesty, my first instinct is like I know for a fact I need resources. So hands down, you know for a fact you need resources, but you can't let that shit dial down too much to the point that you're at the point on E.
Where it's all gone, yeah.
Well, not only just like emptying your facility or whatever you got held bunker, but also on a human basis because the human body can only not eat for a certain amount of time. And that's also including hydration and stuff like that. So you better have yourself a Yeti, you better have yourself like a nice thermos or thermal, whatever like that they call it. So that way you can keep the water cold and you could rehydrate yourself.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, not that it's not important. Like a Yeti would be good to carry water with you if you had to travel. Like, let's say, like here for prime example, we're close to a big city relatively. Yeah. We're like 15, 20 minutes away from a big city. That's wicked close for in spectrum of like a virus.
Right.
So one, we would have to travel, which the highways would be backed up. So then,
but if we were traveling on foot, then obviously we would have to make the miles. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I would probably do back roads as far as I could go with the car, and then if it got to that point, like you said, go on foot. But I think it's more of like you have your Yeti, you have water. Whether it's cold or not doesn't matter to me. As long as I got water. H2O,
right.
Some kind of liquid, hydration, and some kind of food resource. Because if I don't have food, I'm going to run out of energy. I'm not going to be able to, one, continue walking, and two, fight off anything that comes at me.
But also, if you have a high party captivity, that kind of, dips into your, your...
Which is why stock. Comes to my second point of, like you said, prime example, resources. You gotta find a rural area, very quiet area where there's barely any people. You remember when we went to pick up that VCR?
Yeah.
Throwback for anybody who's listening.
So you're talking about like going to like the trailer houses.
Boonies, like where there's like nobody. There might be your neighbors like probably like 5 minutes down the road.
Interesting. So you would go to the boonies first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because think about it. You got trees, you got grass, you got all that stuff. All you got to do is get a couple farm animals, which now we got intel that there's there were those chicken farms. Protein.
Yeah.
You just need water.
So you're just pretty much just like starting from scratch. You're scraping
immediately.
You're just scraping from the bare minimum, and then you kind of maneuver yourself towards the high statures of like supermarkets and stuff like that. You kind of gradually, slowly move your way up.
The faster you can eliminate the high traffic areas, such as supermarkets,
because you're trying to dissipate like any type of like not just conflict but also any type of interaction.
Exactly, because the more interaction you have, the more interaction you will have with that virus, with the dead, with
whatever, and also people try to take from your resources.
Because if you like, let's say right now this happens and we all pile into a car, everybody in this apartment piles into a car, and we go, like I said, to that area that I was talking about. Go in, we nab some chickens from some of those farms, a little bit of chickens here and there, and
now are you starting off hostile, or are you just going in there like gradually? Like if there's already people living there, like they're already boarded up. Like how would you even approach that? Because like for me, if I was going to approach something like that, I feel like I would be very secretive. I feel like I would kind of play a little bit of the stealth mode and like trying to navigate myself a little bit through there, and then like if they approach me with like a sawed-off shotgun, but like, hey, listen, this is what's going on. Like, I have people and stuff like that. We have kids. We're just trying to get by. That's all we're trying to do. And but let's say if they don't solidify, let's say they don't like I don't care. What do you do in that instinct?
I'd feel like, well, first you would have to come up to a situation where that altercation becomes, like we're driving. Like I said, we all get in the car. We're driving down to that area, and we're like, we need a permanent residency or somewhere to stay.
Yep.
I mean, you could sleep in the car. Let's be honest. A lot of people forget that fact that you could sleep in the car. The glass is very thick. I mean, people take hammers, people take glass breakers and try to break their car windows, and it takes quite a few smacks.
Yeah.
So a zombie that's already dead and rotten, hitting your window, hitting your windshield, isn't really gonna break the window.
And again, if we're talking about zombies, I mean, obviously, because of the plethora of zombies, if we're talking about like Left 4 Dead, or if we're talking about Walking Dead or Last of Us and stuff like that, either way, it will take some type of
major
impact
force.
Major force.
And I mean, if you're talking Resident Evil, then that's totally different. I'm like
stars.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm finding a building to get into. Because I'm not staying in my car knowing that there's Resident Evil zombies. But then again, I mean, if you see in the games, all the games take place relatively in a very populated area, with the exception of one location that was a graveyard. But again, there was a relatively town nearby the graveyard.
Yeah. I mean, like, you definitely want to at least upkeep your lock picking, because that's definitely going to come in handy. Like, I know my way around like a couple locks and stuff like that, because a lot of the locks, they have a certain chamber, and then there's 3 keys. Like, not trying to promote like
he robbed places.
Not trying to promote. I'm robbing people or whatever like that, or like lock picking shit, whatever like that.
They got YouTube videos on all that.
Well, that's funny, and they have tools, but they do those tools because in case you get locked out of your house, or saying like you got a person that like saying is trying to like lock pick your place, how to make it better, or like say like your significant other, she's trapped in the place, whatever like that. So they have certain protocols for that reason. But what I'm saying is that for you to get those types of resources that are highly, security wise, for you to kind of bypass that, whatever. And sometimes it comes down towards that falling point where you have to do something like that. And
you
then
got an altercation that you can't avoid.
And to bring it back towards like different type of zombies, if we're going off of Walking Dead wise, obviously like those zombies, like they're easy to deal with when they're far away, but when they're close,
and you got get into once they get close and they're a group.
Yeah, they're brute. Like, they're very aggressive, and like they're very hungry, so they're gonna do, and they have a lot more strength. Like, remember the scene where Dale died, literally got his stomach, which I still kind of call a little bit bullshit on that point, because I was just like, really, like, for a zombie that was that like fetal and weak to rip open, a person's stomach, I still kind of call a little bit bullshit upon that. But
I could definitely understand that. I mean, and that's why it's so hard to make realistic zombie movies. That's why a lot of them are goofy zombie movies, but some of them it's like, okay, well, like you said, wouldn't he be rotten and falling apart and like fragile? But then again, it's like, well, what if he just died that day and became a zombie that day? Then the rot might not have necessarily set
in. It seems like it seemed like that zombie had like superhuman strength at that point.
Several days, yeah.
But
plus, he was already, you could see his skin was already falling apart.
Like that, it's like if a zombie's upon of you, like literally on top of you and stuff like that, you're thinking about every single thing. X, Y, Z. This is the thing that I feel like most people forget, is that zombies are zombies, but they still have certain type of human characteristics. So if you like, yeah, they're still going to try to claw at you and stuff like that, but if you like poke them in the eye or you slap them in the face or if you like nudge them or whatever like that, it's still gonna feel some type of point. Like a lot of people would think that like you have to like shoot. Obviously, like that's the best way. Like head,
Like
always.
separate that
Like head
brain.
hunting is like the best way to kill a zombie. But you gotta remember, if you want to slow them down, smack them on the fucking leg or like just
Take the
easy
legs
like
out.
you know what I'm saying, like or like cut off the limb whatever like that. That way they can't scratch you or they can't grab you, or even how Michonne did, literally cut off their jaw so that way they can't bite you. And there's certain characteristics that fall upon that I feel like people like kind of like not think about in certain like movies and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
like if you do like a nice clean like leg kick whatever like that, zombie falls down and then like quick like literally like hole
Stab to
punch
the head.
like straight into
Well,
that.
it's like vampires. I mean, they say stick a stake through the heart, and it's like all you gotta do is just freaking a vampire comes at you, freaking put your foot out, trip them, and then stab them in the chest, and then they're done.
It just falls upon of what that zombie's character. It's one of those like
Characteristics and the execution.
yes, and also like a little bit of like that he said, she said type of stuff. But when you really think about it and you go like really like down and like dibble about it, you like I said, you have to think about like what they were prior before. So they still show like some type of the human charisma, like they smell, they see, but they hear more. They hear more than the abnormal. That's the funny thing.
So, and then that's the other thing, like you said, where it falls into the characteristic of, you know, Walking Dead zombies. They don't see at all. They go based off of hearing. If you notice, you know, they stand there, they cover themselves in blood, and they walk right past them because they go based off of smell and hearing. So, and then so that's why I say, like, if I'm in a zombie apocalypse and we bringing it back drove to that area, I would stay in my car, scope out some places and see, okay, like what are some places where the people continue to come out? What are some places where I haven't seen a car come back? Like, okay, this house I saw a car leave and it hasn't come back in like a couple days now. So, and maybe we've eaten some of our food, we're running a little dry, like we're getting, not totally like, oh my god, we're gonna starve, but like.
So you're more on that IV. You're more on that investigation type of idea. Like you're
to a degree.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, if I went up, and then let's say, maybe maybe the husband went out to go scouting, and the wife and
whatever stayed,
or the
stronghold or whatever.
Yeah, or maybe the husband and the wife stayed home, and they sent their uncle out or their friend or whatever. So I show up, and then the husband starts acting, a little hostile, like you said, and then altercation. Then it's like, again, same thing like you said. It's like, hey, we got kids. We're trying to make it just like you. We weren't sure. We thought the house was abandoned. Shit's hitting the fan. I don't know if you've seen what's left of the news and what state the city's in. We're just trying to, survive. We've been living in our car. We didn't know. Did you guys have some food to bring? Like food? If not, we'll move on. And
the thing is,
a matter of how far do they take it. If they're like, no, like you need to, we're not even going to continue this conversation, get out of here or I'll shoot you. Then it's like, well, I mean, it kind of, I guess it depends on the vibe of the people that I'm with.
Well, the thing is, like if we were going to put it in straight up example, if we were really going to put it in straight up example, zombie apocalypse popped off and stuff like that. I was like, hey, like, you got this plan. You said you want to go over to the boonies. There's trailers. Let's scavenge and let's see what we can get. And then we run into a counter of a person like, hey, like, we ain't doing this, but me and you, like, obviously, me and you are close and stuff like that, and then I give you that signal. Are you ready to kill a human being?
I think if they engaged, like, I would be like...
I'm telling you, like straight up, like point blank, start off shotgun, pointed to me, and then I give you that signal. I'm like,
So, like, they're pointing the gun at you,
yeah,
or you're pointing the gun at them.
no, they're pointing the gun at me. I mean, I have my hands up. I do have a gun, but my hands are up. I could draw it, and I could kill him, but you have the clear shot better than me. So I give you the wink, or I just like look at you, and I give you like the signal. Are you willing to take that shot? Or are you more of a sedative type of person that you kind of like take by the legs?
Part of me says the legs. A lot of it too depends on how deep we're into this. Like, if it like just started, and we like, let's say, there's reviews, and there's been a lot of like reports, like the news is showing like videos of
Like people getting
people
eaten
getting
and stuff
eaten
like
and
that.
stuff, and it's like all throughout like the city. And then at that point, we're like, okay, let's go, and we end up, whether it's boarding up the windows where we're at now, or moving on to, like I said, to that rural area.
Hmm.
I think at that point, I would be skeptical and probably shoot them in their leg versus their head, just because of the fact that I would be concerned if I shot them in their head and then it turned out,
Shit, maybe I'm a little bit darker.
Well, I mean, no, I definitely could feel that side, but and then another part of me, and I think this is, I mean,
I think for me,
everybody-
internally, I feel like it's not a one up, but I feel like I owe you, because you remember that day about like the whole, like, you getting, like, the whole like jump thing.
yeah,
I feel like I owe you one. So if I was in that aspect again, like, to be honest with you, I wouldn't hesitate. The minute that he like focus on you, whatever like that, I would not hesitate. Like I would, like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, I gotta say it. And even if like they had their people crying and stuff like that, and then I was just like, yo, get the bag, grab the stuff in the cabinets and stuff like that. I would apologize, but I would be like, I had to do this.
See,
like he pulled the
I
gun.
feel like once you did it, I wouldn't hesitate, and I'd, gather the shit up and be going up, like, go on about it. I mean, like you said, I'd apologize and feel bad, but I mean, it is what it is, like, it happened. But at the same time, I mean, like I said, if it was me, I'd probably shoot him in the leg first, but if it was further along,
Oh, like a mercy shot, yeah.
yeah, like a mercy shot, or I would have shot him in the arm that he's holding the gun with, so he would have had less control.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, like they're still human. Well, that's a
For
funny
me,
thing though.
I don't even think about that. I mean, you could say this is dark too. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about, I find out that all those fucking people on that TV weren't zombies, that they were actually fucking people on drugs, and then society goes back to normal like nothing happened, and then they're trying to arrest me for murder. I'm like, nope, I shot your bitch ass in the arm. Charge me for assault or attempted murder. Don't charge me for full-on murder. Like,
I mean, I guess I would take the full blame on that shot, but like I guess in my aspect, like I've really dabbled down to this. Like the way that I see it is that like I need to have like almost like a sanctuary, like how Negan had it in The Walking Dead.
because
Like if me and you, like if me and you, we had a sanctuary and we had people and stuff like that, I would have to have like at least like 3 or 4, maybe 5 people on tops, on just like patrolling the area,
perimeter,
on
yeah.
yeah, on the perimeter, on the rooftops, and on the bottom. And then if me and you are gonna go on a run, we have me and you who are the main, and then we have the person who's the getaway driver. He stays in the vehicle, keeps it running, whatever like that. If he sees something hot, he radios us, and then we rendezvous back to the car. But we scavenge whatever we can between zombies or people, whatever like that. But when it comes to, like, again, like how I say, if it comes to apples to pears, peaches to plums, and stuff like that, it is what it is.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you got to do what you got to do to collect those resources, like hands down. because you're bringing it back to your stronghold and your foundation, and then anyone who tries to inflict and that's another criteria, is that when you have a stronghold, who is going to be dictating it?
Well, and that's
Because
exactly,
it's a zombie apocalypse, and you got to have someone who's
yeah. And I mean, and that's why I say it's kind of like, if you're talking fresh out, we just saw maybe a couple people on the news that were like, biting people and it looked like they were eating them. And it was fresh. We just left to, because we got concerned and we were like, let's go to an area that's a little less, and we'll chill out. And so we ended up, getting into that altercation. I'd shoot them in the arm or the leg or somewhere to inflict, like, hey, we're serious, like, back the fuck off.
The thing is with me is that, like, I learned, I just, like, I've seen too much shit for me to know to leave anything alive. Like, I just know for a fact that person is gonna come back and fuck us over. That's my rationale. So, like, I'm on, you only caught bits and pieces of the show Daredevil and when Punisher and Daredevil met. But what he said was so extra scheduled and like so like pinpointed when he says like, oh, like, you put people down, they get back up. I put people down, they get back up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I put people down, they stay fucking down. But that's the rationale, because it's just like, when you really think about it in the zombie apocalypse, if you don't kill that person, most likely they're going to figure out a way to survive, or say they don't, then they become a zombie. Then you end up seeing that. Remember when Carl didn't end up killing that zombie in the forest? That he was just, doing him and shit like that, and end up end up killing Daryl. And he felt so much guilt about that, because he could have killed that zombie, but he was throwing rocks and he never took the shot. He threw rocks and never took a shot, which is ironically enough to rhyme. But it's just that factor that everything is like that, like, type of karma effect. Everything kind of like it just recycles.
I could definitely see that. Like, you basically, essentially, you don't take care of your business, it'll come back to bite you and haunt you. But like you said, I mean, for me, it'd be different if we were in the situation where it was like, we had, like, even if it was a small, like, little community, like, let's say, like, maybe we had five apartments here, like, and we were like, okay, people on the balconies, we'll have 5 people on each one person on each balcony, so 5 people, and then we'll have, 5 people
on the
bottom at each sliding door or whatever. So it's like, okay, then at that point I know, like, if we run into somebody, it's like, someone points a gun at you, no hesitation, take them out.
Yeah,
because at that point I know it's serious, because
people are on board. You don't want to take the risk, and then especially about the people that's upon inside your sanctum, because the people that's upon your sanctum, you gotta hold some type of respect. Now, if you bitch down and stuff like that, and be like, oh wow, like, he's really letting, like, this person take half of our shit. Like, that's another thing too, is that if a person who's like a dictator and they got more guns, more people, and they have a bigger, better environment, and then they come over to your place and be like, hey, well, like, you know what, we're taking half your shit, and then half your shit is what we say half shit is. It could be half your cans, it could be half your ammo, or it could be both. Yeah, it could be half everything. So you got to hold that to perspective, where it's just like, you eliminate the the main person that's taking half of your shit, whatever like that, but then you're also kind of starting out that war. So you're killing your people at the same time you're getting a certain amount of resources. So it's very pick and play. Yeah. It's very teeter-totter to the point that, like, you gotta really play your guns right.
Yeah. Well, and that's why one of the big reasons I say go to a rural area, because if you notice in The Walking Dead, or really any movie where they're either one in the city and they're constantly entering zombies or altercations, excuse me, where it's like, okay, this group met this group, this group met that group, but then when they get into the woods, the only group they met was Negan. They met Negan's group. and then they were like, okay.
Well, they remember they met the governor too.
They met the
Woodbury.
Well, so that's 2 groups versus.
Oh, and also the sanctuary. Sorry, so there was 3.
Yeah. Where did they meet the sanctuary?
They met the sanctuary. This was prior after. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Walking Dead. They met the sanctuary like right after the prison after Herschel's head got cut off.
Okay, so which the governor was so. Yeah, so the prison. I mean, the prison's going to be near city.
Yeah.
So relatively, it's in the area. But once you get out of the city, you're away. Because a lot of the people are like, oh, I'd go to a cemetery or I'd go to, a prison or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's nice and all, but how many prisoners are in that prison? All those prisoners have to turn into a zombie or become feral.
Yeah, you gotta eliminate the bodies. You have to eliminate the bodies. You have to make the space so that way you can make it a secure environment.
A lot of people think, oh, well, a cemetery, they're already dead. Well, they're not going to just come out of the ground. It's like, yeah, but, where do they put cemeteries? Relatively close to a town or
a city or something like
that. Or a lot of them are in the middle of a city. So, I mean, I'm not going to go to a cemetery because, one, you're going to run into somebody, whether it's, a crazy psycho that's like, oh my gosh, it's hitting the fan. I'm going to go see my wife or I'm going to go see my kid or my grandma or whatever. They're going to go there and then they're off their rocker and then you're there trying to, establish something and whatever. And then it's like, they come up to you and they're like, you need to get out of here. This is my safe area. And because they're in their mind, they're like, this is their safe spot.
Yeah.
And like my whatever family member is here, I'm here for them. I don't care if I die. I don't care if I get bit, whatever. I'm here for this grave.
Speaking of a safe spot, who would you allow to bring in? Would you allow one of your exes, like say like this whole zombie apocalypse pops off, would you allow like one of your exes to be... Yeah, dude, it gets deep. It gets deep, fam. No, it gets deep. It gets deep.
It's more of like trying to be respectful thing because, well, you remember Ray and
yeah.
No, I mean, which you got okay. I'll tell you what.
Listen, man, I have way too many exes, so...
No, I'm not talking about you. Can go through my list. I don't have a big list, so you can go through my list. So, go down the list. Who
do I think?
No, who would... Out of my list of exes, who would you let in? And then I'll tell you if I would let them in.
Okay, how about this? Not only that, but also who do you expect that's going to be living? Because I could really count at least like 2 of them that's already gonna be gone. So yeah, there's only one. There's only one that's gonna be solemnly swear, and you know who I'm talking about. And she starts with the N.
Yep. I was gonna say.
Because out of the 2, they ain't no way.
We're on the same page.
They speaking of yeah, exactly. Speaking of Paige, yeah, that's another one that is up to debate for, again, who I would let in for exes.
Oh, I don't give a shit. I'd leave that up to you. I mean, I'd be like, I feel like I'd be, I'm like, as long as they showed me, as if I know the person, as long as they showed me respect and they didn't show me any ill will or any slight disrespect.
But they have a kid.
They have a kid?
Because that's extra resources.
That's also an extra mouth to feed, but...
Exactly. That's what I mean, extra resources.
That's the dark side of it, is like, every time you invite people in, you gotta feed those mouths.
Yeah.
So...
They have to have a bed, they have to... Yeah. He said, sleeping bags.
Sleeping on the... I mean, shit. It's a zombie apocalypse. You're gonna rough it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I said a lot of people forget you can sleep in your car. You could sleep in your car. Now, sleeping in a tent, I probably wouldn't do because the zombie could walk up and rip that tent.
Oh, yeah, nah. I mean, like...
To a degree.
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, shit, we haven't even touched base on weapons.
Well, and then you also got to think, too, I mean, to off topic, touching Mr. Ballin. That's not,
Shout out to Miss Ballin.
Really weird, but
can't wait to read your new book.
I know, for real. Got the signed copy. But I mean, there was one of these stories that he had done where around the outskirts, this dad and this daughter were getting harassed by this guy. Now, mind you, by harassed, I mean they never saw the dude at all the whole time. They were
this is a story that I haven't heard?
This is a story that you probably haven't heard.
All right.
So basically, they both fall asleep. All of a sudden, they hear footsteps, and they're like, oh, it's just an animal. All of a sudden, they hear more prominent footsteps, and then they start walking around the tent. And so the daughter...
Oh, yeah, I heard this one.
The daughter's thinking, oh, maybe it's my dad coming back from the bathroom, but why is he walking around from that side of my tent? Like, the bathroom's in the other direction.
Yep.
So, anyways, long story short, basically they're, like, scared. They end up scared. So the father is like, you know what? I'm going to put up a barrier around our area with, like, wire and then put cans to it and whatever. And then if it trips, I'll know. I'll have my gun or whatever the case and take care of it. Well, he goes to put the wire up. Come to find out, when he goes to string up the wire, he ties it to one small tree, gets ready to string it, and he looks down and he sees there's already another wire there, and it had already been cut. So that tells him right there that the people that were there before them that camped there had put a wire up, and that didn't even do it. That didn't do any good because the wire was cut and they left it there. And then, mind you, prior the day before, they heard an issue happening where he ran to the campsite next door, found out that they had abandoned it because his wife basically had to use the bathroom. And so she went in to use the bathroom, and suddenly the dog that was with the husband had hair stood up, it turned, and got ready and basically booked it to the woods. The second that dog booked it to the woods, the wife turned around, already hiked her pants up, all that, and then booked it in the opposite direction, ran past the dog ran past her into the woods, barking, snarling, like slobbering at the mouth. And so the husband ran over there and was like, what's going on? She said, I don't know, I just felt like I was going to the bathroom because, the outhouse was way too far, and I felt like I was being watched. I had this uneasy feeling. I felt like, that feeling you got eyes on the back of your head, and you're like, no, something feels off. So she's like, and then I was getting ready, I finished up, and then as I was finishing up, I saw our dog running and snarling, running towards in my direction, and I was like, I gotta run. I don't know why, I don't know if something's actually there, but whatever the case, it doesn't matter, because as long as I run, our dog is gonna protect me and I can get some distance. And so, but anyways, long story short, found a husband went to go investigate in the direction the dog had gone, found a campsite that was abandoned. All their gear, expensive gear like propane tanks, fancy like jackets, fancy, kitchenware, like stovetop, all that. And there was a nice tent, but the tent had slashes in it, like it was ripped open. And he's like, oh, it's a bear. Well, then that next night, that whole spiel happened where the guy walked around their tent. He even like grabbed the girl's foot because the tents that they had were small, so her feet would hang out, and stuff like that. And it was nice weather, so you could leave the tent open. And she's like scared to death. And the next morning he found that tripwire because he was putting up the other tripwire. But anyways, back to the main topic. You could do that. You could put up tripwires and stuff like that and stay in your car, or stay in a tent and put up the tripwire. But it becomes to a degree where it's like, okay, you put up that tripwire and you're in that tent and a walker walks across it. we're going based off of like Walking Dead walkers, because
Yeah.
I feel like if you do other walkers like from Resident Evil or Left 4 Dead or whatever, you basically you got no choice. You have to be in a building
Yeah.
to a degree, and then even then, you're talking about having to fight off like crazy mutations that in real life, who knows how many bullets it would actually take. And I mean, Left 4 Dead, there's ammo catches sporadically throughout. The same with Resident Evil. You find ammo in like safe rooms and stuff like that. There ain't no safe rooms in real life. There ain't no ammo piles laying in the next safe room or whatever.
Yeah, but if we're not going off of that aspect,
if we're
not saying
Well,
like those type of resources,
that's why I say Walking Dead is the most,
realistic.
realistic.
Well, also, Last of Us,
Last
also
of Us too.
because like Last of Us was like one of that type of idea because like Joel had to kill his own daughter, which was very
Well,
that was a hard. That's another thing too,
No.
killing your significant other.
no, he didn't kill her.
Oh well, yeah, yes, that's right.
She was sick,
He was trying to save her,
and he was trying to save her, and the
and
military guy
he
shot her.
held her, and then he kept on telling you, sorry, scratch that.
Yeah.
He saved
no,
his.
I mean,
he
it's
tried to save his daughter.
Same concept. You're trying to save your daughter in a apocalypse situation or a situation with a major virus. You don't know what to do. Everybody's panicking. Fires everywhere.
Even the military. Yeah.
The military is clearly you came in contact with the military, and they're even not doing stuff that you.
Well, what do they call that again? Well, what was that law again?
Martial law.
Martial law.
Basically dictating, shoot on sight. The military or any law official can do whatever they have to do to establish order.
Or vice versa.
I mean, I'm sure there's
contain the virus.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a more detailed version that political people can debate in the conversation in the commons. But that's nor here or there. But like I said, I mean, I would establish myself in a vehicle or I would see how bad it is and see if it's ideal to just, hold up where I'm at and wait it out a little bit, or if it's to a point where, okay, I'm seeing people literally if I'm seeing people just bite people and a little bit of blood and stuff like that, but if I'm seeing people literally getting their stomach ripped open and people eating the intestine, so that's different. I'm yeah, no, we need to pack up as much food as possible.
Yeah, because you need to act fast. You need to act fast, and you need to execute it as smartly as possible because shit's only gonna pop off from there. And then on top of that, it's just the factor of being able to sustain yourself on moving towards the next resource or the next place that you can kind of find yourself. Nice foundation.
Well, and the big thing becomes it's like you said with Carl, where he didn't react in time and let the walker go, and it caused the butterfly effect, as they call it.
Pretty much.
Basically, if you decide, we watch the news and, dude just tore into the dude's stomach and ripped his guts out and started gnawing on him. It's might be just a dude on drugs, and then you see another person do it, and another person, and then you're like, oh, well, we're just gonna, chill out. We'll start getting stuff together or whatever, and you're arguing amongst each other. You're, getting stuff together, but you're not doing it with, urgency. And then next thing you know, you leave after 3-4 hours or more, and then it's then you get stuck in a traffic stop, not traffic stop, but a standstill.
Traffic jam, yeah.
And you're oh shoot. And then you go, okay, let's take some back roads, and then that's also backed up, and it's well, if I had, saw, a couple people were literally eating each other's organs fresh out of them or whatever, and it's or you witnessed someone like clearly looking decaying and not
or
well.
acting completely strange or
Yeah.
bizarre.
Then it's like, okay, well, you could have acted immediately and left. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You load up all this food in your car and you load up in your car. You look kind of like a boob, but you take off and drive like an hour or two out of your way to a rural area, and then next thing you know, you're watching the news on your phone or whatever, and nothing happens, and then you're like, okay, let's drive back home. You drive back home and find out it was just a couple guys on drugs or whatever. I mean, I'd rather be that fool that was like, oh, I loaded up my car with a bunch of canned goods and all kinds of food, and you know, took off and you know, came back home.
True.
For all they know, I just went to someone's house and like dropped canned goods off or something. But
No, I see your point. That is actually going to be it for this
Episode.
podcast, and this is episode 1, and we
Yeah.
will be right back with you guys with part 2. So enjoy.
peace.